the southern coast of France near Toulon, August 12, 1944. 16 American P-51 fighters streaked toward the French harbor city. Their mission? Strafe German radar positions along the coast. In the coming days, Allied troops were set to hit the beaches in Operation Dragoon, the liberation of southern France. Their mission was perilous, yet it was imperative. More than 150,000 troops on hundreds of ships would soon be approaching the coast. The radar installations had to be destroyed. The P-51 screamed toward that target. Flashes of red anti-aircraft fire appeared from the cliffs below. The P-51s were in for a fight, and it would take all of their skill to survive. The pilots of the 332nd Fighter Group were indeed skilled and experienced. They had to be. Their story began 3 years earlier when 13 recruits reported for training in Tuskegee, Alabama. To date, no black man had been allowed to serve as a pilot in the United States military, a policy they were determined to change. Training was intense, and the men welcomed it. They knew they were making history. A new unit was formed, the 99th Pursuit Squadron, better known as the Tuskegee Airmen, the first African-American combat pilots in U.S. history. They were ordered to North Africa, where they supported the invasion of Italy and Sicily. They were joined by 3 new squadrons forming the 332nd Fighter Group. By the launch of Operation Dragoon, the Tuskegee Airmen were seasoned combat pilots. In attack formation, the P-51s began their strafing run. Bringing up the vulnerable rear position was 22-year-old Alexander Jefferson, who was already flying his 19th combat mission. Jefferson let loose a burst of fire, flying no more than 50 feet above his target. Suddenly, the plane shook with a loud blast. Fire and smoke filled the cockpit as he saw a giant hole in the canopy above, flames licking his boots from the fire below. The P-51 inverted at about 800 feet, and Jefferson was thrown from the plane. Seeing the plane crash into flames, his comrades reported Lieutenant Jefferson killed in action, news his parents would receive soon after. Falling from the sky, Lieutenant Jefferson immediately opened his chute. Hitting the ground, he looked up to find a rifle in his face. In German, a soldier said to him, "Yes, Lieutenant, for you, the war is over." After interrogation, Jefferson was moved to the infamous Stalag Luft III, the prison camp for Allied air officers. There, he was drafted by a group of white prisoners to bunk with them. They could tell from the color of his skin he could not be a German spy. It was a welcome change for the young officer. In time, the prisoners of Room 8, Block 128, grew closer. They had come from all backgrounds. A few guys from the South, a few from Brooklyn, a Jewish man. Lieutenant Jefferson passed the time drawing and eventually made a coat of arms for his bunkmates. Semper in excretia was their motto, always in excrement. In the spring of 1945, as Russian forces advanced on Germany, the prisoners were marched west to another camp. On April 29, 1945, American tanks arrived at the gates. Thousands of American prisoners were liberated, Alexander Jefferson among them. On June 7th, a ship ferrying victorious American troops steamed into New York Harbor. Brothers in battle hugged while singing at the top of their lungs. Spirits rose even higher as they passed the Statue of Liberty and pulled into dock. They were home. A jubilant Alexander Jefferson stepped from the ship. Then he heard the order. The returning Americans, the victors of World War II, were to be segregated. White men to one side, black men to the other. A bit of Lieutenant Jefferson's joy was lost. Some battles had yet to be won. After the war, the legend of the Tuskegee Airmen grew. The military was eventually desegregated and new heroes emerged, dedicated to ensuring that America become the best version of itself. Their struggle, and our continued American struggle, was inspired by a pioneering band of brothers who more than 75 years ago took to the skies and demonstrated that self-evident truth, that all men are created equal.